This is your pool party captain, Randy Fitzsimmons, and you're listening to the Game Changer Podcast. Pew pew!
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Nate the Great!
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Game Changer Podcast. I am your host, NateFNGreat, and I'm here to change the game one day at a time. In the immortal words of one Steve Harvey, he once said, "This is when you know that we're going to hell." Ladies and gentlemen, this could be my going to hell moment, because I'm going to be talking about and doing a fantasy booking on, you guessed it, Muhammad Hassan. Honestly, Muhammad Hassan was one of the most controversial characters that I can remember in recent memory when it came to the world of wrestling entertainment. This is a guy who took a huge political as well as historical event and really not only ran with it, but he also had quite a bit of the backlash because of the fact that he was portraying a Arab American, even though he was Italian, but that's wrestling for you. He also experienced a lot of the classic foreign heel deals that you would deal with as that character. Trust me, you guys, it's something that is just absolutely insane, all the stuff that this guy had to go through. And in the end, he was basically buried at a certain point in his career where he was not only white hot, but he became one of the most hated men in wrestling. And it all happened because of an unfortunate set of unforeseen circumstances in which there would be a series of unfortunate events that would take place and would end up being the end of his career. That was a lot for me to say. So let me give you guys as much of the notes as I can about Muhammad Hassan and his brief career in WWE. There were vignettes that just started coming out in which Muhammad Hassan and his manager Davari would be on the screen. They would be talking about how they're Arab Americans and how they were mistreated by other Americans when 9/11 happened. Yes, this was also one of the reasons why I took so long to get this one out, because of the fact I definitely did not want this to take place on 9/11. That would have been the worst time to upload this. He singles out 9/11 as the day that he was basically ousted from America. And you kind of look at how these vignettes are really being portrayed. And to be honest, he's telling the truth in quite a few ways, because you cannot deny that there's been a lot of people that have basically branded Arab Americans as terrorists, branded them as traitors to the United States. So in that sense, he definitely had a point, but he definitely did the classic heel way of twisting it to make it seem like everybody's out to get him. Everybody's out to get him. And I will never forget when I first saw the video where he announced that he was going to be making his debut. it was during the 4-week deal in which Eric Bischoff was taking time off, and the winner of a Survivor Series matchup would be the general managers for weeks and weeks on end. It was the team of Orton, Maven, Benoit, and Jericho that picked up the victory, and this was the final week of that deal. So Jericho was running the show. He was having a big old party. He had, Fozzy there to help, liven things up a bit. And then in an instant, lights went out, and then the screen turned back on, and Muhammad Hassan basically just said, how does it feel to have everything that you ever loved, just end on the flick of a switch? Because he basically was trying to promote the point that that's how he felt. And then he had that iconic line at the end of it, where after he said he was going to debut next week, where he says, the party is over. I'll never forget that. And then comes his debut in WWE, in which he came out to interrupt Mick Foley, who was saying, hey, I'm going to be on SmackDown for a while, doing the, tribute to the troops deal. He also had a little political joke in there, but that's neither here nor there. They got into a bit of like a good sparring verbal deal between the two of them, because it was something that was very hot at the time, because, the troops were still overseas. They were still battling, bin Laden. They were still battling with, Al-Qaeda, still battling with a lot of the things that were going on. And I'll never forget again, Muhammad Hassan would go on to basically say that, he called the troops, heartless infidels, gutless cowards, and stuff like that. It just was a bit of an uncomfortable, deal. But he was doing his, job, basically being that, foreign heel that's going to talk trash about America. And it looked like we were going to get a, scuffle between Mick Foley and him, but he just says, no, I'm not going to get in the ring with somebody that I don't respect. To which I'm like, whoa now, hey there. You don't respect Mick Foley? What's up with that? So then comes, I guess you could say, a very, honestly, you could say it kind of just tapered off just for a couple of weeks, because Muhammad Hassan and Daivari would come out and just, again, talk about how America is using them, blah, blah. Then they get into a deal with, Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross, where they would have a debate of all things, because why not? I guess it showcases Muhammad Hassan's mic skills. And this would result in a matchup between Muhammad Hassan and Jerry the King Lawler at New Year's Revolution. I will say this, it was one of the first times I've ever experienced a match where there was no commentary, no nothing, just these guys in the ring fighting. It was very unique. Muhammad Hassan would go on to pick up the victory, and this would start a mini undefeated streak with him on Raw, where he would defeat the likes of Hurricane, Shawn Michaels. He got a victory over Chris Jericho. He got disqualified against Benoit, which was interesting. He defeated Sergeant Slaughter. He would go on to then have a headlining, pay-per-view match with Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan with Daivari as his partner. This would mark the first time they would have an official quote-unquote loss, I guess you could say. Muhammad Hassan would still mark himself as undefeated because he was not pinned in the matchup. I will also say this, I was very disappointed that it wasn't just a super kick into the Hogan leg drop, which would have been awesome, but nope, they just did super kick, and then Hogan went to the cover. It's like, dude, really? No. Just no. It looked like Muhammad Hassan and Daivari were going to be, parting ways between them, but Daivari still kept, true to Muhammad Hassan. Then we get him versus Batista, and oh, dear Lord, was that brutal. This is one of the first few times where we see Muhammad Hassan just basically get beat to absolute, piss out of him. And then he would basically talk about having an injunction or suing Eric Bischoff for what took place. It looked like Muhammad Hassan was going to win the Intercontinental title, but then Stone Cold got involved, which was weird. But I mean, I'm not going to lie, it did give me one of the funniest moments of his career where Stone Cold was just like, I see sand people. It's one of those things where it's a little bit on the gray line, but still funny. Then Muhammad Hassan would go on to get buried by John Cena, Yahoo, and be drafted over to SmackDown, where he would take place in the SmackDown Championship matchup, which eventually did not happen because then Batista got drafted over to SmackDown, so that just made that matchup kind of irrelevant in the first place. Then Muhammad Hassan would get into a bit of a feud with The Undertaker, and the SmackDown taping had a segment on there that featured Muhammad Hassan, getting on his knees, arms in the air, and having these, mass clobber people. They came in, beat down The Undertaker, and basically just had him choked out. Hassan had the camel clutch in there. The problem with that is that also happened during a London bombing that took place in 2005, which that was bad timing on WWE's part. I don't think they made the option to edit it or anything like that, which they could have, to be honest. So after that, UPN and USA Networks are like, oh, we don't want anything to do with this guy. We don't want anything, blah, blah. So please write him off, which they did. Muhammad Hassan would make his last appearance in WWE at the Great American Bash of that year, and he would get decimated by The Undertaker, where it ended with him getting a last ride through the stage. So quite the roller coaster of a career for Muhammad Hassan. I mean, like you say, he was an unfortunate victim of circumstances with the London bombing, and it's one of those things where unfortunately you can't really walk around. So there was a part of me that was like, I don't know if I can really do this because of the fact that there's that weird workaround, but I guess I can at least try and be smarter about it. Maybe. That's just me thinking, but I am going to give it a shot. So, guys, I'll be right back with this fantasy booking. Hopefully, I can do it justice. We'll just have to wait and see. So stay tuned, guys. Be right back. All right, welcome back to the Game Changer Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. My name is NateFNGreat. Muhammad Hassan booking. How would I do it? Let's go. All right, so as far as his debut goes, I would definitely keep everything the same. Keep the vignettes, keep the debut with Foley. In all honesty, it was the perfect way to get him set up as a heel. Now, one thing I would definitely do is that I would actually have the match at New Year's Revolution be Muhammad Hassan versus Mick Foley. Now, I know that's going to piss off all 5 of the Jerry the King Lawler fans that they have out there, but in all honesty, I feel like the Mick Foley Muhammad Hassan deal is something that people would definitely pay more money for. And I think it'd be a really cool matchup to have Muhammad Hassan versus Mick Foley. And he can say that his first match, he defeated a former WWE champion. So in all honesty, it definitely gives him not only more exposure, but it definitely does give him more bragging rights, because then he can have that throughout the entirety of his career. Now, from there till the draft, I would definitely keep everything about the same, but I would definitely have it where Muhammad Hassan would remain undefeated, meaning he never really lost in one-on-one competition, unless it was to, unless. I don't know what I was thinking there. I would definitely have, if they don't want, Benoit to lose by, pinfall or submission or something like that, have him lose via countout. Have Muhammad Hassan hit his complete shot on the outside. He gets in the ring. He wins via countout. That way he can still have those victories. And he can say, I've defeated this world champion. I've defeated this world champion, blah, blah. He's just getting this massive ego. Just keep on letting him have that. Yes, I would still keep the, Shawn Michaels, Hogan win, because it is Hogan's final run going into this. And I did debate on whether or not Hassan should have just won at Backlash, but I feel like there was just needing to have that, one glimmer of hope of being like, Muhammad Hassan is not completely unstoppable, where he does find, one weakness in his armor, which I will get into a little bit later. So we go to the draft, still keep everything roughly about the same. So, Cena gets drafted over, so does Angle, so does Carlito, which I believe at that point, the week that Carlito got drafted, that's when they had that match between Cena and Hassan. Non-title matchup, we're going to make it, because you can have it be the deal where, Muhammad Hassan basically is saying that, I'm still going to sue you for everything you did, everything that you put me through, and blah, 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 blah. And Eric Bischoff says, well, here's what I'll do for you. If you can beat John Cena tonight, I'll see to it that you are inserted into the WWE title match at Vengeance. So we have this matchup. John Cena loses, Hassan wins. So it seems like we're going to get Hassan inserted into the matchup, but we don't. And this is the reason why, is because he is going to get drafted over to SmackDown. And Hassan can definitely, address this by stating the fact that Eric Bischoff didn't have any, the proper paperwork ready for it, so therefore he's looking to, go back and, sue Eric Bischoff and blah, blah, blah. But Teddy Long says, I'm going to give you an opportunity that Eric Bischoff never gave you, and that was an opportunity at the title. Because he will not deny that Hassan defeated John Cena, which is no easy feat. So we get the same deal that we have with the elimination matchup, and Taker getting himself disqualified as well as eliminating Hassan by countout. That still has that heat going into it. Now, here is where we change things up a bit. Hassan does not recruit any of those Balor Clobber men to assist him with that. No. With that, we still see the, Daivari Undertaker deal. Daivari gets slaughtered by Taker. Tombstone 1, 2, 3. Hassan just kind of stares down at Taker. That's the end of that segment. You can definitely fill in something else with that, because during this time, SmackDown women were not properly respected, so during that time, they can just have a little bikini deal or something. I don't know. So we see from that, Hassan goes into the Great American Bash, and he is a little bit nervous, but he also realizes that he's defeated big legends throughout his career. So he thinks that he has a chance against Taker. Taker and Hassan, it's a bit of a slugfest between the two of them. They just beat each other down. They have just an absolute, knockdown, drag-out brawl between the two of them. There's a ref bump in which it looks like Hassan is going to eat a tombstone from Taker, but in comes one of the new draftees, Randy Orton. He comes in, boom, RKO, and Hassan hits his complete shot to make it seem like he won the matchup himself. So Hassan pins Taker. He's the number one contender for the world title going into SummerSlam. At the Great American Bash, we also do see JBL lose to Batista clean. It's just that one and done matchup. That's it. So, going into SummerSlam, we do have quite a bit of changes, which include Undertaker and Randy Orton. They're still going to keep the same thing, but it will have Hassan versus Batista at SummerSlam. They have the contract signing. Hassan says that he remembers when Batista beat the hell out of him on Raw, and that he's going to ensure that that is not the same thing that happens at SummerSlam. Batista basically just says, I'm going to finish the job that I should have done on Raw. So we get the match, and it's one of those things where we do have the Hassan, throne, but instead of the Balor Clubber guys, we have the traditional Arab American kind of like garbs that you would see from overseas. We kind of incorporate some of the Arab, some kind of Arab deals put into that. You put that entrance here at SummerSlam. He has that grand entrance that he had at, Great American Bash. That's put here. Instead, it's just a bunch of servants and a bunch of people. Batista comes out. It's his hometown. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. But in the end, Batista cannot, he can't outwit the numbers that he has. He gets overpowered. And Hassan picks up the victory and wins the world title at SummerSlam. We see him become the youngest world champion. And we do see a bit of a pattern where we see the servants getting more involved in the world title matches as time goes on. But as soon as SmackDown comes on, we have this big festival. We have this big, celebration. Hassan is celebrating the fact that he's the world heavyweight champion. And during that celebration, he drops Daivari as a manager. He says that Daivari has made him weak. Daivari has made him feel like he is, not the same. He's just a more normal human. Now he's no longer that person. Now he basically describes himself to be like God-like. Not a god, but God-like. He feels like he's invincible. So drops Daivari. That will come into play a little bit later on. But we see the rematch is set between Batista and Muhammad Hassan. This time it's no holds barred. It will take place on that episode of SmackDown where they had a lot of great matches, including that epic steel cage match between Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Now, like I said, Batista loses to him on that rematch, but Undertaker becomes the number one contender for the world title by defeating Eddie Guerrero. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking, but he was fighting Randy Orton and Bob Orton at No Mercy. We're changing that because we don't want to just have that be the only match that they have. So let me put it to you like this. The timeline is going to change at that final confrontation between Orton and Taker. They have a matchup on SmackDown where Taker has that, deal where he looks at the coffin and he sees the body, like the mannequin that looks like him, that kind of deal. Yeah. We're eliminating that. Basically, Undertaker defeats Randy Orton to become the number one contender. So we have the match of No Mercy. Muhammad Hassan looks like he's just about to lose that matchup. But Randy Orton comes back in, RKO's him. This time Muhammad Hassan just takes that, covers him 1, 2, 3. And this is where it gets interesting because the show actually will end with Undertaker going after Orton. Orton knocks out Taker, puts him in the casket, sets it on fire. Basically trying to eliminate the Undertaker from the equation. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting. We actually have a segment on Survivor Series that will feature Edge and Muhammad Hassan. Now, I know there's some people that are going to be like, what? You're not going to feature Muhammad Hassan as, an attraction in the on the Survivor Series deal? No, because we're still going to have, a demonstration of how Muhammad Hassan can work well on the mic. And he does it by doing a sparring deal with Edge. Now, this is more of just heel versus heel. Muhammad Hassan actually beats down Edge in that segment. And he leaves still holding that world title above his head. No, this does not mean that he's going to cash in on Hassan, which would have been a cool idea, but no, that's not what happens. Hassan continues to have this streak of, battling for the, battling as the world champion. He's the greatest. He has a triple threat matchup against Batista and Ray at Armageddon. We're going to eliminate that whole, Raw versus SmackDown deal. That was all settled at Survivor Series. It's done. In this matchup, we see, Hassan pick up the victory by pinning Batista. Rey Mysterio still wins the Royal Rumble match. He's still going to WrestleMania to face the World Heavyweight Champion, which at the Royal Rumble is going to be either Muhammad Hassan, Kurt Angle, or Mark Henry. And in this matchup, we do have those moments of Kurt Angle, showing his feat of strength. He's doing the whole, angle slam and just trying to do everything they can to beat him down. Mark Henry tries to go from the top, from the second rope. Kurt Angle is able to maneuver it into a super-like angle slam, taking him down. Hassan throws Angle out of the ring, and Hassan wins the matchup. We get a match between Muhammad Hassan and Kurt Angle at No Way Out. Now, I know this kind of sucks because then we won't get that Undertaker versus Kurt Angle match that we would get at No Way Out. But in all honesty, we're going to change the timeline. We're actually going to have Kurt Angle face the Undertaker at WrestleMania. Now, some people are probably going to be saying, is this where the streak is going to end? No. As much as, I really do love them to have like a series of matches between them, which in all honesty, after this feud is over, after WrestleMania, they can have like 2 or 3 matches that culminate at Judgment Day. I think that'd be really cool. But he's not going to win here. So, instead we'll have Rey Mysterio defeat Randy Orton, have a good feel-good moment there. We have Muhammad Hassan just barely beat Kurt Angle via the servants, but also with a timed low blow and hitting that complete shot 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be Hassan versus Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania. So you have the biggest heel that you could possibly have, and you also have a babyface that is there to represent, all the little guys, but he's also there to win the big title for his friend Eddie Guerrero. And in all honesty, we're going to have no mention of Eddie Guerrero being in hell because, in all honesty, that was stupid. That was just dumb. Instead, we will definitely have Hassan basically saying, come on, this is my opponent. He basically is pulling kind of like a Brock Lesnar deal on Rey Mysterio, like Brock did to Eddie Guerrero 2 years prior, where basically he's just saying, you fought so many demons, but you're going to fight one of the biggest demons of them all. Hassan talks about all the people that he's beat. He says he's beaten dead men, he's defeated Olympic gold medalists, he's defeated world's strongest men. What makes you different than anybody else? It looked like Rey Mysterio was going to get the 619 advantage on that, but the servants just take them out. So WrestleMania, we have another great entrance for Muhammad Hassan. We have that great entrance with Rey Mysterio and POD, because that was awesome. And hopefully, maybe we can give these guys a good 10-15 minutes, because they deserve it. So Hassan and Rey Mysterio, these guys just absolutely tear the house down. It looks like the servants are going to help again, but everybody that, Hassan has wronged in the past, so this includes guys like, Kurt Angle, guys like Mark Henry even get involved with this. We see Undertaker, he gets involved. So many of the people that Hassan has wronged in the past, so many of the roster, they come in, they take out the servants, they take them all down. You can even have, some of the servants be female, and you can have, women who would be people there. I think that Christy Hemme and Stacy Keibler were still there. So you can have some of the SmackDown women, they get involved, and they have their, WrestleMania moment where they just help Rey Mysterio get the spot. 619, we see the, dropping the dime, and then just to give it a little bit more, beauty to it, he goes up, frog splash, 1, 2, 3, Rey Mysterio wins the matchup, and he wins the world title. It's a dark moment for Hassan, but it's a great moment for Rey Mysterio. You have the moment where, dreams do come true. It's just absolutely great. So we have a rematch 2 weeks from that WrestleMania between Muhammad Hassan and Rey Mysterio. These guys, and Teddy Long says there's not going to be any interference. All the servants are banned. Nobody's going to be at ringside. So these guys have a knockdown drag-out match between the two of them. But they both hit a clothesline on each other. And then we see, up the rampway, Daivari. He's looking up. He's looking at the ring. He just has a smile on his face. Hassan, he turns and looks up the ramp. He sees this, and he just has this look of disbelief on his face. Then Daivari motions for something to come out, and it's the great Khali. Khali gets in the match, beats down Rey, but just decimates Muhammad Hassan. He, hits the chop, he hits the choke slam, he does everything to Muhammad Hassan to decimate him. The match is set between Hassan and Khali at Judgment Day. And it seems like Hassan is going to get a couple hits on him, but Khali just big boot, chop, double hand choke slam. He decimates him. He just destroys him to the point where the referee has to call for the bell. Khali's first victory is over a former world champion, named The Undertaker. And basically what ends up happening is that he wins via knockout. Khali beats down Hassan, and Hassan has, a bit of trauma that causes him to unfortunately be out of the ring for a few months. Not for a few weeks, for a few months. So we see Muhammad Hassan return at SummerSlam. And he basically comes out and he says that, he realizes that what he did was wrong, and that is not the way he should have been treating people, and he feels bad about the fact that he treated so many of the fans like dirt. And hopefully this gives him that face turn that he could really use. We have a rematch, honestly, 1 year from their world title matchup. It's Taker versus Hassan, but Taker picks up the victory. They have a rematch at Survivor Series. This is Hassan's best showing, but he unfortunately does still lose in that matchup. He gets the respect from The Undertaker. He's still established as a good star. Now, with him having this deal with, Taker out of the way, he wants to ensure that the Great Khali pays for what he did. So, from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, we do see Hassan and Khali just battling each other at backstage areas. We see the two of them just battling. They get a little scuffle in at the Royal Rumble, but Khali eliminates him. But Hassan is able to grab the arm of Khali, and with the help of The Undertaker, gets Khali eliminated. This matchup just builds up very well to the point where it ends in a double countout at No Way Out, and the match is set for WrestleMania. The Great Khali versus Muhammad Hassan. And Hassan says that if he loses in this matchup, he will retire from the world of wrestling. And Khali makes the same statement. So it's a retirement match between Khali and Hassan. Hassan puts on one of his better showings. He gives it everything that he can. But unfortunately, the Great Khali picks up the victory at WrestleMania. Khali retires Muhammad Hassan. So that is how I would book Muhammad Hassan's booking deal. In all honesty, this was a tougher fantasy booking to create than I had originally thought it would be. But I'm really glad that I did, because it does make Muhammad Hassan into a major heel. And when he comes back, he just has a bit of a small babyface run. And to be honest, he didn't need to really win that many championships. But he does get, a proper world title run that he rightfully earned. And he had a really pretty good 2 years with the company. So I'm pretty happy with how that went. I will say this, that I definitely have a more deeper respect for the guy who played Muhammad Hassan. I'm actually going to have in the description here the interview that he had with Chris Van Vliet. It is something to just watch and see what, everything that he did, from the hardships that he dealt with in the ring to the final days of his wrestling career. And he talks about a lot of the great things that he does outside wrestling. It's absolutely phenomenal to see how he does and see him, have bright spirits about it. It's really cool to see that. So definitely check that out, you guys. It's really great. And also give Chris Van Vliet a subscribe, because he is awesome as well. So with that being said, I've been NateFNGreat. Hopefully you enjoyed this great podcast here, in which I talked about a very controversial but also a really good character in WWE. So definitely check me out on my social media at RealFNGame, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter. It works either way. Also, you can check me out on so many different podcasting formats, including Spreaker.com, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, so many different places, you guys. And also on Anchor as well. Definitely check out our merch. And like I said, I'm going to get to the merch before the year is done. So you can quote me on that. That is going to be the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember that you can make a difference one day at a time and one moment at a time, whether it's big or small. One moment is all it takes. Thank you guys so much. Have a good one.